Hello, I'm Shamel and I want to thank you very much for using my affiliate link for signing up for the ScrapSmarter event. This is your bonus video all about scrapbooking with a big rainbow. Just to say thank you for using that link, and I hope you really enjoyed the ScrapSmarter event. So I'm starting today with this big bold paper from Amy Tangerine's Picnic in the Park collection, and you can use these ideas for any sort of very colorful paper, but I find that this is the sort of paper that really catches the eye when you're shopping, but then might not be the most straightforward when you come to scrapping with it. So I'm going to walk you through some ideas that might come in useful for any colorful paper with this one today. So I'm starting with this photo, which is a 4x5 crop, then printed on a 4x6 with borders. So it's a little bit smaller than 4x5 inches. And the first thing I want to do, I'm keeping that white border on, so you could add white cardstock as a border just to make that photo lift up a little bit more from all of the other colors that are going to be in the background. And then I want to put a few layers behind the photo to start with. I'm going to start with a single color that works well with these. It may or may not be an exact match. This one is not an exact match, but it's close enough that it's quite harmonious with these colors here. And I really suggest just grabbing something from your scraps for that first layer so that you are just using something that's waiting to be used, because you don't need much of it for this very first step. Then look for another single color print. It can be a solid or it can be something with texture, same for this, to set behind that. And I'm going to bring out the yellow from my background. Again, it's not the exact same yellow, but they look nice together. That's all that really matters. And this time, instead of sticking it down, I'm holding it in place to cut my mat, and you can do this with a trimmer if you prefer that sort of method, but I do love my scissors. And then one more, but this last layer is going to be more of an explosion of color. So I brought in another rainbow paper. This one is from my field trip collection, and I've used a few little pieces from the A side, but I'm going to use this corner of the B side. And I'm looking for a white background paper with a colorful print. Doesn't necessarily need to be a rainbow print, and the whole rainbow will not be visible in the piece that I'm using. But I want that white background to do exactly what this white edge does here. It just lifts it from all of the colors that are behind that. So to cut that one again, and then start sticking these layers together and see if I want them all square or with a bit of movement. So, but what I mean by all square is that I can center each of these. So I could center that one, and then put this in the middle there. And it's very formal, and it doesn't have what we call movement on the page. Yeah, it's more like what you see when you have a very fancy photo that has been matted several times. It's all very straight edges, and then to put it straight on the page. I don't think that that sort of matting feels like it has the same sort of mood as this sort of background. This is a very playful, whimsical background paper. Lots of curves, lots of motion. So instead, I'm going to use really small angles to make my little stack of paper. Now, where I have a straight line in this design, you can see how small the angles are. Those lines are really close together, and I'm only going one line difference from my top to the bottom. So in general, keep the angles smaller than you might think. Now I can choose to keep these going in the same sort of direction as the background, or to swap it. That would offer more contrast, but I know that I'm planning to embellish in a way where the colors match. The embellishment matches the colors on the background, so I'm going to make the pattern paper match too. And depending on what two patterns you're using, that may or may not be an option. So just move it around and see which way looks best. And then again, a tiny little angle, but there's not much. And then I always bring my adhesive toward the middle so that I can tuck things into the edges. So then I'm going to bring this over here so that his face is on around where the join in the rule of thirds would be. So if we take the paper and imagine two lines like this, dividing it into 3 equal parts as columns, and 2 lines like this, you're drawing a big hashtag or a tic-tac-toe or noughts and crosses board over your canvas. Then those 4 spots where the 2 lines meet are places where your eye goes first, really naturally. So I tend to choose one of those as where I build my page from. And this one I'm going to build down here. Now, he's a little bit above that joining spot, but I don't want to bring it so far down that you lose the rainbow shape here. So we do have a little bit of the art of compromise in making things like that happen. Okay, then I'm going to start in with some embellishment and a place for journaling. Now I've pulled out embellishments that have a rainbow of colors so that I can pick things that will fit. So for example, I'm going to start with these. And these are little word strips. These are from Dear Lizzie. And I'm going to take the color, start the color so that it's in its matching rainbow spot, but then take it over the edge into the adjacent color. So I can then take the pink here, but it runs into that red. My green is quite small, so I don't want a huge word, but maybe this middle-sized one would work. Yes, because there's kind of 2 greens here. My blues down at the bottom. Got a light blue here, so I can put that over there. And coming up to the top, now I don't have a red in this. I do have some pinks though, so I'm going to be able to bring it up here. Have I got one with imagine? No. Okay, just checking that I'm not duplicating words and phrases here. Let's bring one over to this side as well. And then just stop to check the balance. I've still got to put in a title, journaling, other embellishments. So I'm just starting with kind of something to scatter around there. Now I know I don't have any red, so let's see what we can do about that. And go to the next set of embellishments. Now these are not all single colored, but some of them are. So for example, this blue is going to come right down to my blues straight away. And I want something in that red. And I'm doing exactly the same thing that I did with the word stickers, starting in the color that I'm on and then crossing over into the next color. And I've got a pink flower too, so I'm join those so they're in a little friendly gathering there. And I've got a blue heart here, so I can bring that up to the blue and the green. Now I think where I've got these hearts repeating here, I'm going to come back with this one. But at the moment, I'm not rushing to my multicolored things. I'm looking just at single color embellishments. Now I knew I didn't have single colors for everything there, although I realized I just missed one, so I'm going to pop that one onto the page. I missed that there was a yellowy orangey heart here. Bring that in there too. And then this one I pulled out for these smaller pieces, like this big heart here. These are from Crepe Paper, the Forest collection. It has a more ornate name than that, but it involves forest. Okay, so this one's going to go near there. And I've got a green here, which I didn't have in the other sticker sheet. So I can bring that green down here. So some things, if I can, I'd like to kind of group them. It's not always possible. Sometimes. So I've got two different blue hearts there. And that one with the orange there. Okay, so I've got this one is a little bit lonely. Maybe this one needs to join over here, so this one's not so lonely. And over here. Got a little blue flower there. Okay. Now, next I want to make sure that I have room for journaling and a title. Now, you can run your journaling right on top of these pieces of the rainbow, and you could use a white pen for it to be nice and legible over here. That's one idea, or you can bring in a journaling card. So I'm going to try bringing in maybe this bit of yellow here. This is a yellow with a green, so it's going into this section of the page that's near the yellow and green there. So I think that will work, and then maybe I add in a little bit of orange toward the top. And I can tuck this into these layers here. I'm not going to tuck it here because they're not the same yellow. Yellow on yellow, that's not a great match. So if I have that white in between, it's kind of saving me a little bit from the clash of those two shades. I ended up adding journaling in both ways. So I've got the white ink on the curves of the rainbow, but just a little bit here and there, not a big solid block of writing. And then the longer bit that's more like a paragraph is here, so that it's easier to read, where these are just little bits and pieces of the story. Okay, now I can bring in items that are multiple colors. So I've got gaps like this space here, where I can then find little pieces that pick up on the notion of all those different colors that have appeared on the layout. So I can take those hearts there. I can run a rainbow over here and just fit it in between my words there. And I've got these little flowers that are turning up there. So I'm going to take one of the colorful bouquets of flowers and bring that over here. So now I have this sort of triangle with the photo in the middle. I can bring maybe a little bit more wording into that spot, like this one will be just right. I'll tuck that end under the sticker actually. Bring that out to the side. And also a few of those hearts. I'm going to bring some hearts over to where this larger blue heart is feeling a little lonely too. Okay. Then once you've got your page to a point like this, you can decide what other extras would you like to add. So a few different suggestions. You could add more and more layers and tuck things in around your photo. Or you could leave out this journaling card if you just want this amount of journaling and extend this into a big block with 2 photos, and I would put them at a very slight angle here to mimic the curve, as much as you can mimic a curve when you've got 2 rectangles. But you can place them at a slight angle so that they will have a similar type of movement on the page. Then, other things if you want to get extra super duper special, you could take embroidery floss in all of these colors and you could stitch along here, or you could machine stitch in the thread colors of the rainbow. You might want to do that before you made your page, or you might not, because you might want to just do a little bit of stitching. So you could stitch in orange from the end to here and then stop, and then go all the way over to here and stitch down to the end there. So it wouldn't need to be every single line. You could just add in a little bit here and there. You could add in more of a sprinkle effect. So this paper has little white bits of texture in the background anyway, and then I've used white ink to write my journaling, so I could take white paint, white mist, and flick more of that along that space. And you might want to not have this space feel so open and airy. So what I've done is I've brought most of my embellishment down here, and that's because this pattern, you get more color as you get closer to the center of the rainbow here, yeah? And then the bands get bigger and more spread out as they go out. So I've spread out the different elements here too. But if you wanted, you could keep this just as busy as this if you'd like. But I like the idea of trying to mimic the busyness and the amount of color by putting it together here. So there we go. You can add as much as you would like to that, and if you mimic this with any paper or you get any sort of idea from this and you share it, I would love, love, love to see it. So please send me a little note, tag me, whatever you want to do, so that I can see what you made with these ideas and enjoy taking different elements of your stash and matching up the colors. So these are not from the same collection, and yet I was able to find lots of pieces that would work. I love that sort of stash diving where you go and find things that you might not have originally put together, but then you start putting them together and they work really well. So I wish you lots of luck in finding different colorful pieces that will go together well. I'm just going to move this heart now that I'm looking at it. That will go together well no matter what collection they're from, and I can't wait to see all your colorful scrapbook rainbows. Thanks so much for joining me both here and at ScrapSmarter, and just a little reminder that after 3 months have passed since the beginning, or since the live dates of ScrapSmarter, if you have a Shamel.com account, your class will also be added there, so that it'll just be accessible on your account there as well. Okay, thanks so much for joining me and for joining the event. Happy scrapping. See you later. Bye-bye.